Hello everyone. The data that I'm going to use for this demonstration is about responsible innovation. So this is the purpose of the study. These are the research questions that I want to address in this study. And also these are the demographics. There are 10 participants and these are their roles and information about their age range, gender, and also geographical location. Right. So imagine that you have gone through your data using NVivo. So this is the data set. You have gone through all of the transcripts. You have all your containers for your research question. I see the research question one here, two, three. And then you have developed codes, right? And then for the research question one, you were able to go through everything and categorize the code to develop themes. So here we have one, two, three, four, five, six themes. For research question two, which is the barriers to fostering responsible innovation, you have one, two, three, four, five quotes. For this one, you don't have to go ahead and develop themes because there is not a lot of codes, right? So all these codes could be called themes. The reason why sometimes you develop themes is that you want to reduce the data. That's why you are categorizing all the codes to develop themes to address your research questions. So in the situation where you don't have a lot of codes, then all of them become themes. You just maybe sometimes have to review them and making sure that the labels for the codes best reflect the significant information that has been extracted from the data and also address the research question that you have. So for this one, we don't have to do anything about it. For the final research question, which is opportunities for enhancing responsible innovation, we have a lot of codes here. So in some situations, sometimes it's very difficult to categorize the codes, right? This is where you can use AI to help you to categorize. So in this case, we're going to use AI to help us to categorize the codes that we have so that we'll be able to develop themes to address our research question. One thing that you have to think about is that we always say that when you give wrong information or inadequate information to AI or any AI tool, you may not get rich information. So make sure that all the labels that you have here, you have developed the code so well that they are representing the significant information that has been extracted and also addressing the research questions so that when you use AI, it will be able to know what exactly all these codes are for and to be able to really see what are the similarities among them and group them for you. Another way to enhance the use of AI is when you are about to give all these information to AI, you have to make sure that you define the codes, right? How do you define the codes? So when you click here, you can go to code properties. And then you see the description, this is where you put what the code represent, right? So making sure that you define the code helps the system to understand what all these represent so that you'll be able to group it in an appropriate way. So these are the things that you have to know before you go ahead to think about using AI to categorize. So let's assume that we have done what you're supposed to do, right? So what you have to do is you can right click on any of the codes here, and then you go to export and then you export list. So you have to find a place to export. So it will be code, so you give it a name, maybe responsible innovation. And then I look for a place to save that information. So I will save it on my desktop, right? When you finish saving, the next step is to go to ChatGPT. So I have ChatGPT here. So you may ask, which model do you have to use? You have two main models, GPT-5 and also the legacy model, GPT-4o, right? I'm using GPT Plus, which is the $20 a month. So you have two options. So I always recommend that when you are just using this AI tool to analyze your qualitative data, you don't have to use the thinking model. So under GPT-5, you have three options. You can choose auto. Auto means that the system will decide whether based on the task that you have given to it, whether you want to use fast model or the thinking model, right? So auto, you give the system the chance to choose whether to be using a fast or thinking, right? So in this case, I will, if you are sure, I'm very sure that fast model will be the best, right? So I choose that. Another option is to choose the GPT-4o, which is not a thinking model. It can do the same thing that the fast model can do, right? So in this case, I just choose the fast model. Then what you have to do is to attach the information that we save. So let me attach first, let me open it for you to see. So this is how this one looks like, right? So our focus is only the research question 3 because we have all the codes, we haven't categorized them yet to develop themes. So I will upload that document here, right? And then that now we're going to give the system instructions and see what we're going to get. So first, give a little background information about your study, right? What your studies are about. So let me copy this one. So I'm copying the purpose of the study, right? So first, maybe you can start by saying that this is what my study is about, right? And then you paste the purpose of the study. So the next step is to tell the system what you want it to do, right? And a little background about what the document that you have attached, the spreadsheet is about, right? So you can say that the attached cell spreadsheet is output from NVivo 15, which contains a list of all the codes and teams developed under their respective research question. Now, I want you to only focus on categorizing all the codes generated under research question 3, leading to the development of themes addressing the question. And then I can put the research question there. Right. And another thing that you may have to provide is that you have to give a little information about how the theme should look like, right? So you can say that make sure each theme is between 2 to 5 words and presenting the codes group and addressing the third research question. Okay. So in terms of the output too, you can specify whether you want it in the table format, you want the system to define the themes and also indicate the references. When you look at the Excel spreadsheet, there's also references and also files, right? It gives you the number of files and references. Do you want the system to also show that? You can also ask, right? So you can see here that when I click here, you can see all the files here and also the number of files connected to each of the codes and also the number of references. Do you want the system to create a table indicating the number of files for each of the teams and also definition of the theme? We can do that, right? So you can say that, can you create a table indicating the number of files and references for each theme, including definition of each theme. Right. So the sentence, the information might not, like the way I'm putting might not be perfect, but the idea is that I want the system to create a table and also indicate the number of files, the number of references, and for each theme. Right. So let's see what the system is going to give us. So we click on enter and then let's see. So perfect. So you see how the system has created the theme. So we have a total of 6 themes and also a number of files aggregated is 23 and also the number of references 29. You can always cross-check and find out. So you can look at a table and look at the references and also the files connected to each of the codes, and then you can aggregate them and then you can see whether the numbers are right. You always have to check, make sure that everything is right. You also have a definition here that is very good. So you see how if you provide a system a specific instruction, provide a system a lot of background information, you get a very good result that will be helpful for your analysis or your further analysis, right? So when you get this one, you can easily copy and put it in the Excel spreadsheet, or you can put it on a document, and you can even go back to NVivo. So when we go back to NVivo, you can even create themes, right, based on what you found. So this is the first theme, which is trust and accountability. So what you're going to do is that you right click here, you click on new code, you bring that information here, but you have to make it a little bit different. So in parentheses, you can say theme, and then the definition has already been provided to you. You can copy and put a definition here just to remind you about what it represents, and then check aggregate coding from children. You click on OK. And now, so when you look here, you have building trust and continuous accountability. So you have to look for building trust and a continuous accountability. So building trust is here. You can drag and drop if it doesn't work. Okay, if it doesn't work, you can even right click and cut and copy. So we can right click on the second one, you cut and right click on the theme and paste. So this is a moment of truth. We're going to see whether the numbers are right. So it's 3 for files and 4 for references. Let's see. ChatGPT is right. We have 3 and 4. That is good. So you're going to do the same thing by creating another container for the theme, which is collaborative partnership, right? So you right click here, you go to new code, you bring a theme here, you paste, you copy the description, you put it here, and then you can check aggregate coding from children. Now what we have to do is to look for the code. So this one belongs to that. So you can drag and drop. And then public-private partnership. Let's look for the public-private partnership. And then let's put in there. So we have 6 files and 10 references. So here, what is it giving us? 7 files and 10 references. You see the numbers might not be good, right? So that's why it always says ChatGPT can make mistakes. So don't over depend on the result. Always cross check. Now we know that the number here should have been 6, not 7, right? Because we have that information here. You know, this one is right. Because when you look at this, click on the plus sign, right? You have 6 here and you have 1. Yes, I know the reason why the system said 7. The system was counting each of them, it counts a file once, right? So let's say a file, information was extracted and connected to this file, right? For this code, and the same file, the information was extracted and connected to this code, right? When you are calculating, aggregating, you don't say two, right? Because that information is from one file. So a file is counted once, but for ChatGPT, a file is counted more than one, right? depending on how many times it's connected to a code. So you see the way of counting here is very different from the way of counting in ChatGPT. So you always have to check and make sure that you are following the standard way of counting. The reason why you have to follow this way is that so that at the end, the number we're gonna get here will not be above the total number of files. What is the total number of files? We have only 10 participants, right? So here it's supposed to be 10, right? So if every information is extracted from every participant, you have to get about 10, right? You shouldn't go beyond 10. But if you count as a file more than one time, then the number here will be more than 10. So I think I would choose the way that NVivo does the calculation, right? So that's it. So what you're gonna do, you do the same thing, right click, create a container for the themes, and then drag and drop. And then you have your themes addressing your research question. So you see how ChatGPT can help you to speed up the process, especially when you're having difficulty categorizing your codes, right? And sometimes when the codes are a lot and humanly impossible for you to do it based on the time that you have, you can always use AI to help you and also let people know, right? Disclose that you use AI to assist, right? Not dictate for you, to assist in the data analysis process. So I hope this one was helpful. If you have any question, contact, put your question in the comment section. I will be happy to address them for you. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have good videos for you. And also you can suggest a video that I have to create and I'll be happy to do that. So thank you for your time.